Have you ever felt like someone stole and took part of you with them? Well, if you answered yes to that question, then this message is especially for you. Happy Valentine's Day 2021. So, if you're watching this and you're single, welcome to the club. Thanks for joining me. I am celebrating this day, at least this year, as a single person. And it's not a tragedy, it's not something that I'm necessarily upset about because a few months or weeks ago, we were having a moment of prayer with some people that I respect and I look up to very much. They're mature in their faith and they flow in prophetic words. And throughout the prayer, one of the things that they touched upon was my future husband, whoever you may be. I don't know who he is, so I'm not calling you out or anything. But anyways, they were just kind of giving me some words of encouragement. But one particular thing that they said and they hinted at was that whoever the previous admirers that I had, or people that had kind of tried to get close to me, that they were not necessarily sent on behalf of maybe God, but that they were really sent kind of as a operation from the enemy. So basically, I guess they might have been sent by the devil himself. I know, right? But I believe this kind of stuff. And so because of that particular word, I am peaceful with just being single as long as I am encountering the wrong people, right? I think that's the best case scenario. And if that's your word of encouragement, take that to heart. But however, when they said that, there's something that it made me think about, and then I was reminded of it when I was reading a few days ago, and I was reading in the book of Isaiah, and I was reading about Hezekiah. And so in reading about Hezekiah, something that really struck me is how there's sometimes people that come into our lives, and if we don't really discern and know what they're sent for and what they're coming in, then that really exposes us to harm. And that is precisely what happened to Hezekiah, and that is precisely this conversation we find in Isaiah chapter 39, and it's an exchange between Isaiah and Hezekiah. So Hezekiah is that person in the Bible that, I don't know if you've ever heard of someone that prayed to God and they were told, well, first of all, he was told that he was going to die. Like, God sent him somewhere. He got deathly ill and he had a death sentence hanging over his head. And then he took it to God and he prayed. And then he was really delivered from his sickness. It was miraculous. He asked for God for a sign, the sun and something, it turned back. It was just like miraculous. But one of the things that God told him is, I'm adding to your days. He added 15 years. So imagine the guy was about to really die. And now God is telling him, you have 15 extra years, bonus years for you to do, to just kind of live out life. Now, Hezekiah is someone that we know he did things that were pleasing to God, right? He did things like he destroyed some of the pagan shrines, and he reinstituted true worship to God. And so these were all good things. But after his miraculous healing, I think word spread, and some people kind of just saw the wonderful sign that was there for them to see with the sun and all these things. I don't want to focus on that, okay? So bear with me. But so there were the people of Babylon, and now Babylon is not really a friendly nation towards the people of Judah. However, they sent into Hezekiah's kind of kingdom, they sent some envoys, they sent some messengers. The king of Babylon at that time sent some messengers to Hezekiah, and with the intentions of kind of figuring out, or kind of he wanted to send some gifts, but also he kind of wanted to see what was that had happened to him, like what was this miracle, how did it take place, or what happened, what have you. So the real interesting thing is that when they come into the kingdom, The Bible tells us that in Isaiah chapter 39 verse 2, it reads, Hezekiah received the envoys gladly, and he showed them what was in his storehouses, the silver, the gold, the spices, the fine oil, his entire armory, and everything found among his treasures. There was nothing in his palace or in all his kingdom that Hezekiah did not show them. So here we have Hezekiah receiving these messengers from a pagan country, from a foreign kind of adversary, because they were not necessarily friendly towards each other. And so he's showing them everything. He's like, here are my treasures. Here's everything I possess. Here's everything that kind of with all the wealth that we've accumulated. And the Bible says that he was glad in receiving these people, right? So what I equate that is that there's people that come into our lives after God has done a miraculous work in us, and they come and because they're kind of just drawn to whatever happened, right? They kind of see there's good things that going on in our lives, and so they're like, interesting, right? And so maybe we appreciate their presence. Maybe we feel like they are just coming and maybe they're going to add something to our lives. But sadly, that's not always the case. And that's exactly what we see here that happened. Then we kind of see that after this happened, Isaiah, the man of God, comes to Hezekiah, and then he just asked him a simple question. He goes, "What did those men say, and where did they come from?" And then Hezekiah replies simply. He says, "They came from a distant land, so far away, and they came to me from Babylon." The prophet then followed up, so the dialogue continues, and he says, "What did they see in your palace?" Interesting question, right? So he didn't know where they came from, at least Isaiah didn't, but he wanted to know what all did they see? What did he really show them? And then Hezekiah says, "They saw everything in my palace. There is nothing among my treasures that I did not show them." And I have to stop right there and kind of pause, because a lot of times we're like, oh, well, that's kind of silly. What does that have to do with my life and your life? And it's very simple. A lot of times I feel like in the day and age that we're living, one of the greatest temptations we have is the overexposure that we really give to other people. I think social media facilitates the idea of us just like putting everything out there. And there's people that take it up and do it. There's all kinds of different challenges kind of just calling on you to show and to expose a piece of you, to give something to other people. And quite frankly, things that really shouldn't be seen by other people, or at least not by the masses. Not by the masses. Let's just be frank. So that's the first thing. And then the words that Isaiah gives to Hezekiah kind of in response to this, it's chilling, right? It really is shocking to me. But then Isaiah says to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord Almighty. The time will surely come when everything in your palace and all that your fathers have stored up until this day will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord, and some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who will be born from you, will be taken away, and they will become eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." So Isaiah is really telling him, well, since you showed them everything, they're going to take everything. And then your people, your descendants, they will really be taken kind of as workers, right? And that's surprising, because they should have been the royal, like they're the in the royal line, and now they were going to be taken captives to a whole different kingdom and a whole different country. And then at this, what really strikes me is what Hezekiah then responds to Isaiah, and he says, "The word of the Lord you have spoken is good." So hold up, wait a minute. Isaiah just told him that everything he owns and everything he has shown these people is going to be taken from him. And Hezekiah has the audacity to say that this was good word, okay? And then he takes it one step further, and Hezekiah says, there will at least, in one translation, it says, at least there will be peace and security in my lifetime. Right. So, what's really shocking about that is that when Hezekiah says this is a good word, um, he's more so concerned about what is happening in his own lifetime, only to him and kind of his people. He's not really thinking far down the line into his legacy and kind of what all of that means for everybody that will come way, way later after him. He is just kind of settling for, at least I will have peace and security, when he could have had everything. Now everything is being taken away from him, all because he chose to expose and to open freely to people that he shouldn't. And that really is a principle that we must kind of bear in mind. Not everybody that comes into our lives comes with the goal of adding. Some people come just taking away from us, and it is really up to you and me to take the responsibility and the ownership of really setting the limits of how far we let people in and how deep people are going to be access to us. If there's one thing you and I need, we need modesty with our souls, right? There are certain things that we must keep covered, and we must not expose to everybody, at least not the people that kind of don't share in the same spirit, right, that we have. And so I really don't know what your sentimental situation is this Valentine's Day, but if there's one thing I kind of want to press upon you, is that just be vigilant and discern what is it that people are coming into your lives. Are they adding on, or are they really coming with a plan from the enemy to destroy and to take away and to rob you of something? Because that feeling that you're left with, once those people leave, that feeling of they took something away from you, that could all be prevented if only you will not give them access to those areas. So all the things that you hold dear internally and even around you, the things that you maybe own, don't flash it. Don't show it to everybody. Not everybody needs to see it. Not everybody really is your friend. Some of them are your foe. Even if they show themselves to be friendly, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily a friend to you. So this Valentine's Day, I just really want to come in the spirit of Isaiah and really ask you, what are you showing to the world? What is it? How are you exposing yourself? And what sort of things, what sort of areas in your lives is that compromising? And if you are able to identify some of those areas, then set some limits and shut some things down, and really go modest with some of the things you post. Go modest with some of the people that you bring around and you let in. And really just be protective of your heart, your mind, your soul, because that is the one sure way that you will be left whole when you don't really give freely to other people. So with that, I wish you a happy and whole Valentine's Day, and hopefully you won't be left feeling like people are taking from you, and instead you will find the people that will more so add to your life. So until next time, bye bye.